Once upon a time, nestled in the historic heart of London, stood St. Margaret's School for Girls. It was an ancient Gothic structure with towering spires, ivy-clad walls, and a chilling history. Built in the 1800s, the school had weathered centuries, but beneath its scholarly facade lay secrets that would chill even the bravest of hearts. It was the autumn of 1998, and the new school term had just begun. Among the new students was Emily, a shy, bookish girl who had recently moved to London. Her parents had high hopes for her education at St. Margaret's, but Emily felt a strange sense of foreboding as she walked through the grand iron gates for the first time. The whispers of the past seemed to echo in the air, and the old building creaked as if sighing with the weight of its secrets. Emily quickly became friends with a group of girls who shared her love of mystery and adventure. There was Sophie, a spirited and fearless girl, Lucy, who was quiet but incredibly observant, and Hannah, who had a knack for finding trouble. Together, they explored the school, from the dusty attic filled with forgotten relics to the dank basement that smelled of mold and decay. One day, while rummaging through the attic, they stumbled upon an old, leather-bound diary. The cover was faded, and the pages were yellowed with age. The name Elizabeth Blackwood was inscribed on the first page, dated 1888. Intrigued, the girls decided to read it. The diary revealed the tragic story of Elizabeth Blackwood, a student at St. Margaret's over a century ago. Elizabeth was an outcast, bullied by her peers and misunderstood by her teachers. She had written about strange occurrences in the school, shadowy figures in the hallways, whispers in the night, and a sense of being watched. Her last entry was particularly disturbing. October 31st, 1888. They don't believe me. No one believes me. But I know what I saw. The lady in white, she's real. She haunts the school, and she's coming for me. I can feel her cold breath on my neck. If anyone reads this, beware. She wants revenge. The girls were both excited and terrified. Who was the lady in white, and what had happened to Elizabeth? Determined to uncover the truth, they decided to investigate further. They began by asking Mrs. Wilkins, the school librarian, about Elizabeth Blackwood. Mrs. Wilkins turned pale at the mention of the name. Elizabeth Blackwood was a student here long ago, she said, her voice trembling. She disappeared on Halloween night in 1888. No one knows what happened to her. Some say she ran away, but others believe she met a terrible fate. That night, the girls couldn't sleep. The wind howled outside, and the old building creaked and groaned. Emily was particularly restless. She kept thinking about Elizabeth's last diary entry and the lady in white. As she lay in bed, she heard a faint whispering sound. She sat up and listened. The whispering grew louder, and it seemed to be coming from the hallway. Gathering her courage, Emily got out of bed and tiptoed to the door. She peeked out into the dark hallway and saw a faint, glowing figure at the end. It was a woman in a white dress, her face shrouded in darkness. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, but she felt compelled to follow the figure. She quietly woke her friends, and together they crept down the hallway. The lady in white led them to the old chapel, a place they had never explored before. The door creaked open, and the air was thick with dust and the scent of decay. The figure disappeared through a hidden door behind the altar. The girls hesitated, but decided to follow. They found themselves in a narrow, winding staircase that seemed to descend forever. At the bottom, they entered a small, dimly lit chamber. The walls were lined with ancient books and strange symbols. In the center of the room was a stone altar, and lying upon it was a skeleton, dressed in tattered clothes. A silver locket hung around its neck. Emily recognized it from the diary. It belonged to Elizabeth Blackwood. As they stared in horror, the lady in white appeared again. This time, her face was visible, a beautiful but sorrowful visage. She pointed to the skeleton and then to a large leather-bound book on a pedestal. Emily stepped forward and opened the book. It was filled with strange incantations and drawings of dark rituals. Suddenly, the room grew cold. and the girls felt a malevolent presence. The lady in white began to speak in a haunting, ethereal voice. She told them the truth about Elizabeth's disappearance. Elizabeth had discovered the dark secrets of the school, that it was built on the site of an ancient, cursed cemetery. The spirits of the restless dead haunted the grounds, seeking revenge on the living. Elizabeth had tried to warn the others, but no one believed her. On Halloween night, the spirits had taken her, and she had become one of them, cursed to roam the school for eternity. The lady in white was the vengeful spirit of a woman wronged centuries ago, and she had chosen Elizabeth as her vessel. The girls were terrified, but the lady in white told them there was a way to break the curse. They needed to perform a ritual described in the ancient book, a ritual that would require great courage and strength. The girls agreed, knowing they had no other choice. The ritual had to be performed at midnight, on Halloween night, in the heart of the old cemetery beneath the school. The girls gathered the necessary items, candles, salt, and a silver dagger, and made their way to the cemetery. The air was thick with fog, and the full moon cast eerie shadows on the ground. They found the ancient, crumbling gravestones and formed a circle around the largest one. Emily read the incantation from the book, and the girls lit the candles. The ground trembled, and a chilling wind blew through the cemetery. They could feel the presence of the spirits, their anger and sorrow palpable. Suddenly, the lady in white appeared before them, her eyes filled with both hope and fear. She guided Emily's hand as she drew a circle of salt around them, creating a barrier against the spirits. Then, with a steady hand, Emily used the silver dagger to make a small cut on her palm. She let a few drops of her blood fall onto the ground, completing the ritual. The earth trembled violently, and the spirits began to wail. The girls held hands, their fear giving way to determination. They chanted the final words of the incantation, and a blinding light enveloped them. The spirits screamed in agony, and then there was silence. When the light faded, the cemetery was still. The lady in white smiled, her face now peaceful. She thanked the girls for freeing her and the other spirits. As she faded away, she told them that Elizabeth's soul was finally at rest, and the curse was broken. The girls returned to the school, exhausted but relieved. They knew they had saved St. Margaret's from its dark past. The next day, they went back to the attic and placed Elizabeth's diary and the ancient book back where they had found them, hoping that no one would ever have to go through what they had experienced. St. Margaret's School for Girls continued to stand proudly in the heart of London, its Gothic spires reaching towards the sky. But those who walked its halls could feel a new sense of peace, as if the school itself had been cleansed of its dark history. And Emily, Sophie, Lucy, and Hannah knew that they had forged a bond that would last a lifetime, bound together by the chilling adventure that had brought them face to face with the supernatural. From that day on, they were known as the Brave Four, the girls who had faced the terrors of St. Margaret's and emerged victorious. And though the shadows of the past still lingered in the corners of the old building, they knew that they had brought light to the darkness and peace to the restless souls that had once haunted its halls.